Hey folks, it's Tom, your Frugal Prepper. Today I'm going to be going over with you how we prepare a Mittleider soil bed. To see links to this video and a lot of my other Mittleider gardening videos, as well as all kinds of Mittleider information, you can go to my website. It'll be linked down below in the description. And it's Frugal Prepper, FRUGAL-PREPPER.rocks. And you can click on the Mittleider gardening link and you'll see all kinds of information about Mittleider gardening. So what we're going to do today is till this up, put the pre-plant down, put the fertilizer down, and basically get it ready for planting. So I got time to plant some Paristene carrots in here before my fall cabbage has to go in here. So we're going to go ahead and use this space while the cabbage seedlings are downstairs getting started. And by the time those are ready to transplant, we should have carrots ready to harvest. So it's one thing that you do on Mittleider is you rotate your crops out and plant more things, because the plants are so productive that usually by the time they would die, you've gotten more than you need from them, so you can pull them and plant something else. So let's get to it. What I got here is just my little mini electric tiller. This thing is great. You just plug it in, it goes. You don't have to worry about cleaning the carburetor or nothing. Just plug it in and start tilling. And then over here, I've got my pre-plant mix, I've got my weekly feed in the bucket, and I've got calcium nitrate in that little thing. As I always put some calcium nitrate down. It seems like the lime in the pre-plant just really doesn't activate fast enough for the plants to absorb it, and I have calcium deficiencies. Putting a little calcium nitrate down a few times, and at pre-plant, really I just have no calcium deficiencies at all anymore. So basically, I have this jar. This is pre-plant. We're gonna put 1 ounce of pre-plant down per linear foot. Now this is a single row bed, so it just goes down that single row. If you're talking about the 4 foot wide, the double wide beds, then you're gonna do that for each side of the bed. So 1 ounce per linear foot, this is 10 foot. I got 10 ounces of the pre-plant. You can see my website, and I have a video on how to make this pre-plant fertilizer on there. All right, so here's my weekly feed. I'm gonna put a 1/2 ounce per linear foot of that down. And so that's gonna be 5 ounces. This has little markings on the side that shows you 10 ounces, and it shows you 6 ounces, but you just go a little under the 6 ounce mark. And yes, I know this is meant for measuring liquid, and the fertilizer goes by weight. Trust me, I've weighed it out, and it's not enough difference to make a difference. So I go by the markings on the jar. The next thing I have is this calcium nitrate. See my website, or I'll put a link down below where I get this from on Amazon. It does not take much. I'm just gonna basically take about that much of it and sprinkle it down in the bed. Now, calcium chloride will also work. You want to be careful not to get that stuff on the leaves of your plants, because when it gets wet, it gets hot. It's hot melt ice. But yeah, calcium chloride, otherwise known as driveway melt, will also work. But I don't use it. This is just a little less caustic, a little less harmful to the plants if it gets on them. And this also gives you nitrogen, which I think is more important than the chlorine. So this is what I use. All right, so now I'm just gonna till it in, and mix it up in there real good, and then we're set. All right, now I'm going to take my Kenyan 2-way hoe and just level this bed out a little bit and make some rows to get it ready to plant some carrot seeds. This is a really handy tool for weeding the garden and just generally working in the garden. I don't even own a regular hoe anymore. I just have this one. I've had this for about 10 years. I've only had to sharpen it 2 or 3 times, and it just works. This is not to be confused with the cheapy stirrup hoes that you find at Lowe's or Home Depot. This is a real tool. You can find a link to it at the bottom of my Amazon, or my Amazon links are at the bottom of my Mittleider Gardening page on my website. All right, so anytime we're planting really fine seeds like carrots, these seeds are just super fine, if you can see that. What we do is we take a little bit of sand, and ideally it'd be a little drier than this sand is, but it's a little moist. It's really humid out. But you just dump your seeds in there with that. Make sure we get them all. And then you just shake them all together and mix them up. And then you can just sprinkle this down in the rows. And that helps thin the seeds out. And now those seeds are all mixed in that sand, and now we'll just kind of come down here and sprinkle it in the rows. All right, so anytime we're dealing with seeds like that are really they're really tender little plants, you want to be able to sprout really easy. And I have really heavy clay soil, so what I do is cover them with a layer of sand, and then that allows them to just sprout right up through the sand and put their roots down. All right, so now those are covered with sand. The next thing we're gonna do is put burlap down. You can find burlap, a nice big giant roll of it that'll last you forever, because you can reuse this over and over again. On my webpage, down in my Amazon links, I got this off of Amazon. Big giant roll. I've had it for 10 years now, and I'm not even a third of the way through it. So this is just a 10-foot section. We're just gonna put this down there and kind of fold it over. And what this does is it keeps the seeds from being disturbed and from rolling when you're watering them. A lot of times where I germinate, seeds first start to germinate, if they get rolled, then the roots are trying to grow up. Plants growing down, so you don't want them to roll. So this protects them. It also keeps birds and stuff like that away from seeds. It helps with that too. So I'll go ahead and put this down. All right, and now we're all planted. We just have to water them in. So I'll go get the hose and we'll start watering them. I'm just gonna turn this hose down to where it's not full strength. It's just kind of coming out like so. I don't want to disturb the seeds while I water. Okay, so we're watered in, we're planted, we're ready to go. It says these will take 12 to 18 days to germinate, but in my experience it takes more like 7 in my garden. But we'll just keep checking them. We'll just peel back the burlap every day. As soon as we start to see anything turn green, any green sprout, even if it's a single one, we pull all that burlap off, because you do not want the plants to grow up through the burlap, because then you're going to have to kill them to get the burlap off, and it's going to be a big mess. So as soon as you see any green, pull that sucker off and then let them grow. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, a Frugal Prepper. Make sure you check out my website. I've got all kinds of stuff about vintage canning. I'm developing sections. I'm putting stuff out there, information as well as links to videos and places and things and what I buy and where I buy stuff at. So I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, Frugal Prepper.